Good morning, YouTube. We got some news of hooptydom out of Merrillville.
Oh, Indiana.
You're
beautiful place, just rolling hills of green
I
grass.
looked it up. It doesn't sound very nice.
It's a joke.
My research said it was in the bottom half, like 40 percentile of safest cities. So on the wrong side.
It's awful.
Gary, Indiana's close by, which I know from what you say is really bad.
It's like the armpit of the world right there.
I didn't know, because I knew from like the Music Man, like Gary, Indiana, you know.
What?
No, he sings about coming from Gary, Indiana.
The Music Man?
Yeah.
Who's that?
76, the musical. Anyway, 76 trombones led the big parade.
Do you know what he's talking about?
Whatever.
Do you know?
Anyway,
Okay.
Watch this, April.
Okay.
Let's talk hooptydom out of Merrillville, Indiana, and this is the police chief.
Police chief tonight says he's done everything he can, but more than a dozen patrol cars in his fleet will have to be replaced. They're only a few years old. That
Durangos.
decision going to cost taxpayers thousands of dollars.
They're not old.
The chief wrote a letter to the residents of Merrillville today explaining they bought 15 Dodge Durango pursuit vehicles during the pandemic because they couldn't get the Fords that they usually rely on. Those Dodge SUVs have had a litany of issues, including engine failure. They're not the first department to witness these issues. Indiana State Police also bought those same Dodge Durangos in the past and experienced the same catastrophic failures. The chief says they've tried to fix the issue, waited months for the parts from Dodge, and reached out to Dodge Stellantis for help, but nothing has worked.
That's bad
I'm
press.
doing everything that I can to hold Dodge responsible for this because that's who I feel should be responsible for this. I feel it's very unfair for them. It's their money that they've been taxed for. It's nobody else's money, and I think it's a shame. I think it's an absolute shame, and I feel bad for them, and that's why I'm making the stance on this.
He says they'll have to sell the Dodges soon and buy new squad cars, which will cost taxpayers. A spokesperson for Stellantis responded to our story, saying in part, quote, "We sincerely regret any inconvenience caused to our valued police community customers and are working to expedite service for any affected vehicle."
We regret that we build you complete nutter junk.
My God.
That
is
not
not
up
just
to
like some plumbing company's fleet, which would be terrible too, but like the police chief.
in a rougher area in
Right.
Indiana.
This is awful.
Yeah, they're following a bad guy, and the Durangos break down. It's
bad.
we've been following Stellantis and their downfall in quality ratings and unreliability and issues. I'm currently up to my I don't know. What body part's up here? I don't know. I was going to say my butthole and then point at my eyes, but because I forget where my body parts are when the cameras are on. The butthole mouth again. It's back. Anyway, turned out a Hellcat, a Hemi Hellcat that was very abused, but the Hemi V8s, as cool as they are, they've just been retired. Big problems with them, flattening out cams and valve issues and top. The Hemi tick, it's famous in the Rams and such. It's been a problem since day one, and they never addressed it.
Right.
It's never been something that's been fixed, and they just retired the engine. They don't care,
Right.
and it's just so bad, the quality right now. And it doesn't seem like they care at all.
Why I feel like it's so obvious that these are police cars, and then the Crown Vics that are undercover because they're not marked, but like everyone knows they're police car. Like, why can't we implement like a fleet of Chrysler LeBarons? Okay, with the wood paneling, and just put some like sick crate engine in there, and like no one would suspect that, and then they'd be able to catch these bad guys a lot easier.
Death traps. That's terrible.
But you would never think that there's a cop driving this LeBaron right now.
No, absolutely not.
Right?
But they're probably desperate enough to try anything, including that horrible idea. But the Durango, the big problem.
Yeah.
Oil coolers. And the oil coolers are failing. They're sending oil into the cooling system, and before you know it, it's all clogged up, and poof, the engine goes kaboom.
Like
overheats.
It's complete dead engine.
Correct.
Needs to be replaced.
And they're waiting 4, 6, 8 weeks to replace the engine, along with the normal electronic problems and other issues.
Right.
But the engine failures, and I guess it's particularly bad because of the extra cooling that they put on the police pursuit ones,
Right.
are junk. And rather than update or solve the problem, they're just replacing engines when they blow up. And if you're in a small town police force
Sure.
and you have a limited number of vehicles and 2 or 3 are down at a time,
Yeah.
you don't have enough cars.
You're in trouble.
And that's what he was saying. It was a very long letter just saying, my community is suffering now because of your poor quality product. And it's so bad that I'm going to have to dump these cars before their useful service life supposedly is over and get something else at a cost to my community, at a cost to the taxpayers, because you guys build junk. Stellantis, please do something. Please help me. Take them back. Lemon law them, whatever. And that was their saying, like, we're sorry, we'll do everything we can to help. It is not.
It was a very weak apology that had taken a long time for them to answer to.
Right.
And they better, because this is the worst advertising you can have for your company.
So, to be fair,
Right.
they were talking about how he wishes he could have bought Fords because, but he couldn't because of the supply chain issues, which Ford has having a really hard time back then with the microchips and the modules and things. And so they were delivering cars without microchips being installed.
Right.
It's a good voice crack there, isn't it? It's like that one. Incomplete cars and cars with features that you bought it and then later you could get this stuff installed for the stuff to work. It was a really weird time for Ford.
Right.
All automakers, but Ford especially. And I guess they couldn't build the police intercept vehicles, enough of them.
Right.
But if they were to go back to Ford, Ford is thoroughly effed right now as well because their new intercept vehicles, these Explorers, have this 10-speed transmission that is absolute junk.
Really?
Ford transmissions have been terrible, going back over a decade now with the Focus. Ford had this dual clutch in the Focus that was junk. It is absolute junk. Probably won't last 100,000 miles. Their SUVs, once again, they introduced this high gear, 8, 10-speed transmissions to get the most gas mileage out of them. But they're so fragile and the computer programming is so weird with them that when it goes wrong, it's like a chain reaction because it's all linked together. Junk. And Jake is complaining about every other week about his girlfriend's Lincoln, which is a Ford product, and having the transmissions giving up the ghost. How many miles?
190.
190. Well, okay.
Yeah.
190,
but
so
these
higher. But
police vehicles are being pushed to their limit as far as acceleration and drivability. So they need to be pristine.
right. Yes, they need to be sturdy, tough, and they are not. And the Tahoe is the other police pursuit vehicle, and it's probably a bit sturdier. I couldn't find anything really research-wise other than some interesting electronics recalls and things. But they're pretty expensive big trucks. So not really a viable alternative to what was the original big three of police intercept vehicles. So you mentioned the Crown Vic. It is the King Daddy. It is the most famous police car of all time.
Right.
People will look at that car 50 years from now and be like, police car. It's just what it is.
Right.
But those were retired in 2012.
Yeah.
Something like that. And police fleets are still using them in some states. When they retire their last one, it's like they have a party or a funeral when they retire their last Crown Vic, and you see it in these towns when they're so sad.
You're cool.
Some police fleets, they bought up reserves and had new ones sit for years and years, so they had like at least a decade worth of Crown Vic to continue because they love these so much.
That's great.
But when you go to Chevy, that was in 1996 with the Caprice, which was the popular taxi cab and a police car. But that was over in 1996. Their full-size sedan, truck-based, perimeter frame sedan. For Chrysler, you have to go like to the late 80s. Actually, have the Plymouth Fury that's at the hangar. That's the end of the road when it came to police vehicles.
They were police vehicles, Plymouth Furies?
Yeah.
How
in the
cool would
80s,
that be?
that one in the hangar, it has a Dodge grill on it because it was interchangeable, but that's actually a Plymouth Fury police car, 88, I believe.
That is so cool. Okay.
And that's when Chrysler dipped out of building basically a dedicated police type vehicle.
Right. So right now, what I'm hearing is, Elon's got a plethora of Cybertrucks that he's trying to get rid of. He should donate 5 or 10 of them to Maryville, Indiana. Problem solved, right? No?
He'll get a lot of bad press from that. Now, what needs to happen is someone needs to build a basic bare bones Crown Vic again.
Yeah.
As a fleet only, government only sale. Here it is, the Checker Marathon of the 70s, 80s, or whatever. Doing that. A company just saying, I'm going to build a big, brutish police cruiser that is cheap, that has nothing in it for government fleets
Right.
with a truck-based LS or whatever they can do. Nobody would do it,
Or just
unfortunately.
take impounded cars that no one's picking up and convert them. Or doesn't Dubai do that with
they
their
do it all the time.
Bugattis and Lamborghinis
They do it.
as cop cars driving down the street?
They do that for drug dealers' cars. They'll put a sticker on it and this Escalade belonged to a drug dealer. I saw one recently where it was like a pearl white diamond tricoat, just like mine, seized by the police. All the stickers on it and a white diamond tricoat. So yeah, they could do that, I suppose. But they're really just, there is no car that is built, that is equipped to handle police abuse right now, unless it is a very expensive truck.
Sure. No, I get it. I feel like I had two great ideas, the LeBaron and the Cybertruck, to be donated, and you don't like either of them.
No. Well, have you ever been in the back of a police car?
No.
There's definitely a story there.
I mean, I've gotten rides before, like when you're drunk and hanging, oh, let me give you a ride, somewhere. What? I grew up in Chicago. That's they're friendly and they take care of you,
They take care of you. Huh.
Have you ever been in the back of a police car?
I have.
Shut up. For what?
So it was a little bit of a weird situation because I had witnessed a horrible car accident where a drunk had run a red light, T-boned this girl, and then she went into a Quiznos, her car, not her body, but the car veered off into a Quiznos all the way in. The dude was in a old Knight Rider or a Firebird, and then she was in some little Econobox car that I don't remember. And I was the first on the scene, and this dude is drunk. I think he's dead. He's got a broken neck or something like this. He's hanging like this, and he's doing death gargles, but really he's just snoring because he's passed out drunk. And he's got a passenger behind him, bloody head. Anyway, he goes and wakes up and realizes I've been in an accident. The whole car's obliterated in the front, and he's trying to turn it back on to where he can drive away. I'm like, dude, the car's dead, and and it just reeks of alcohol. Just totally out of it, drunk. And so I went to him because it was the closest, and people were helping the girl and all that stuff. So then the police wanted me to do a statement.
Right.
And they said, here, it was in the winter time, so here, just sit in the back of the squad car and fill out your statement, your name, information, all that stuff. So sit down and closes the door. You can't get out of a squad car when they close the door.
No, you can't.
So I was all done.
Right.
I was all done for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes,
What?
trying to get their attention, and I'm stuck in the back of the cop car like I'm arrested and can't get out.
What? That's crazy.
So finally the guy remembered, oh shit, there's this dude in the back of my car. And, got me out.
That's scary. All right, so you did not enjoy that experience, I'm guessing.
No. Nope. So that's my only police car story. Yeah.
It's kind of similar to how I got kidnapped and taken to Kansas.
Child locks. Yeah, I disabled them in the Escalade. Yeah, are all stuck. Yep. Yep. Got the ankle bracelet. That's why we don't do this. The frame goes out here because you don't see the chain that's attached to your ankle. Thank you so much for watching.